Okay, this video is going to get us started with the last chapter of the semester, Chapter 5. We're going to be dealing with methods. And what you should have open right now is your Java file, opening activities period 6. And you should have paper or a document that you can type some notes on. These are going to be very important to have these notes written down. And then we're going to get started here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to give you a scenario, a real life scenario from which you can relate to methods. And so as we're doing this, then be thinking and picturing this happening, and then we're going to start relating it to Java. So what this is this class, and of course we're using what we call pseudocode, and the purpose of this class is to prepare period 6 students for class. So before the lesson takes place, what are the different activities that go on? And so you have the main method here, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to display the needed files on the whiteboard. This is before everybody comes in for the lunch reflection. So we'll listen to the lunch reflection. I'll take attendance, close the classroom door, walk up to the front of the room, distribute handouts for today's lesson, close the sliding doors, and explain what we're going to do in class today. So this is what you already have on your file. And so now what's going to happen here is this looks like I'm doing everything, but I'm going to have some students do some things for me. So they're gonna do some tasks that I could do, but I'm going to have them do it. So the first thing I'll do is I'll have Madeline. Whoops. Yeah. I'll call. Let's type it like this. Call on Madeline to close the door. All right. So that classroom door. Then I'll walk up to the front room, and then I don't need to distribute the handouts. I am going to call on Christina. So let's call on Christina to distribute the handouts for today. All right, and then I'll call on Hello to, whoops, I didn't do that one right. There we are. To close the sliding doors, because she used to sit back there. Maybe she still was sitting back there by the sliding doors. And then I'll explain what we were doing in class. All right, so now you can see that, well, I'm not going to do all those things. There's 3 things I'm going to have done by students. All right, so now let's write down some notes on methods, and then we're going to change this code a little bit in here to be using methods. So methods, here's the idea. We've already talked about methods actually in this class, and so first thing to write down is a method is a block of code that performs a function or a series of tasks. Now right now we have used first of all, the block of code is defined by what? Should be able to answer this, and that is the semicolons, or sorry, the curly braces. All right, so you have curly braces define a block of code, and it performs a function. So the print function or method, or the println method, the math.abs method, the show input dialog method, the scan.nextInt method. So those are all functions that we don't really see a block of code, and those blocks of code are actually in the Java library because those methods are built in to the Java library, and so those come to us because we install Java on our computers. Now we are going to write our own methods that won't be in the Java library but are going to be in our programs. And so that's when we'll get those blocks of code in there. And so a series of tasks, well, right now the closest thing we have to a series of tasks is the main method. So here's the main method right here. And here are the series of tasks that the main method does. It's going to be everything inside this block of code, which we call the body of the method. All right, so a method performs a function or a series of tasks. A method has its own name, and this is really, really important. If you understand this name stuff, it's gonna make everything come together for you. So of course this method's name is main, the one that we know right now. We've had a print method, its name was print, and then we have println and math.abs, etc. And so notice the name is always before the parentheses. And so then we have a method performs its function or series of tasks only when called upon. A method performs its function or a series of tasks only when called upon. So the math.abs function that we learned about, it performed its function by changing or by making sure that a number was positive. It did that because we called it by its name, math.abs, before the parentheses. And so it performed its function. And so now, the difference here with the main method, and this is something you want to write in here, is it starts automatically. All right, so the main method starts automatically. So there's really no method call, or there's nothing that calls it in action except for the fact that we click on the run button. So when we click on the run button, then the main method starts automatically and starts performing each of these tasks. All right, and then let's see. Is there something else I wanted to say in here? Not yet. All right, so let's start converting this a little bit, getting it a little closer to what we're talking about, the methods. And so first of all, now as you notice, this is saying the main method is doing these things, but really I'm the one doing this. So I'm going to change this to Mr. Pfaff. So Mr. Pfaff is performing these tasks. As the teacher, that kind of makes sense. I start automatically. Okay, nobody has to tell me to get ready for class. And so I just get started automatically, and I'll display those needed files on the whiteboard, and then I'll listen to the lunch reflection with the students, and then I'll take attendance. And then I'm going to call on Madeline to close the classroom door. So the function, now what I meant to do is to ask you, on what line of code do we see a method, another function that's going to take place that I'm not going to perform? The first function that I'm not going to perform is to close the classroom door. I'm going to have somebody else do it. So this indicates, this function means that I'm going to have a method perform that function. And what do you suppose? We said that a method has its own name. What do you suppose the name of the method is? Well, it's Madeline. Madeline would be the name of the method. And it's going to perform its function. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create that block of code. And so now right here, the pattern is this. You have a method header at the top. Then you have your opening curly brace. You have the function or the series of tasks going to be completed. And then you have the closing brace. And so we're going to follow that pattern down here. So let's hit enter twice after the closing brace of the main method, just to give space in between the methods. And what we can do is go public class. You actually can, if you want, copy and paste this main method header down to here. Should line up all these, the P's and the opening closing braces should line up. And so what we're going to do, we're going to put the name of the method right here, and we're going to call it Madeline. Only we are going to start it with a lowercase letter because their method names are named like variables. So we're going to go Madeline, and inside the parentheses, let's leave that blank. And you'll notice up here I started Mr. with M, lowercase m, and that's because the method headers, method names, should start with a lowercase letter like variable names. Okay, then we'll do our opening brace, tab, and we will go in here is close the classroom door. And let's put a semicolon after it. All right, and then we're going to do a closing brace. All right, then. Now you notice that we have, so we have walk up to the front door, or front of the room. And then I'm going to call on Christina to distribute handouts. So there's another method. So, just to show you that this doesn't matter where you put the method, they can be, there's two places that extra methods can be. In fact, let's go ahead and copy this and paste it up here. Extra methods can go either above or below the main method. They can't be inside the main method, but they can go above or below within the body of the class, so within the two closing and opening braces of the class. And so now when you get to AP Science, Computer Science, what will happen is Mrs. Wyman will have you always put the extra methods below the main method because that's what they do on the AP tests. Okay, so now this one, of course, is going to be Christina, and Christina, her job or her function is going to be to distribute handouts for today. All right, and so that's what she does. And then I'm going to call on Halulu to close the sliding doors. So let's go ahead and put her down here after Madeline. So hit enter twice and change the name to Halulu, and then she's going to close the sliding doors. All right, so there, what we've done then is we have added 3 other methods to the main method. And they're not inside the main method, but they're either before or after the main method. All right, now let's get another thing. Our last thing that we're going to write down on our notes is this. We said that a method, and before we do that, let's take a look at this. So a method is a block of code. So here's a method. It says it has its own name. It's a block of code that performs a function, and it could, or a series of tasks. But here's the thing, is that a method performs its function or series of tasks only when called upon. So Christina is going to be a method, and Madeline and Halulu are going to be methods, but they don't just get up automatically and do those functions. They wait until I call upon them. So they're just sitting there until I call upon them, and by their name, and then they perform the function. And so what's going to happen here is, in our number 4, is that a method call uses a method's name to call it into action. A method call uses a method's name to call it into action. So I say, Madeline, could you close the classroom door? Halulu, could you close the sliding glass doors? A method call runs a method like pushing a button runs a dishwasher. So a method call actually activates a method. When I say Christina, that gets her into action, and she takes the papers from me and starts to distribute those to the students. And so a method call, that's a specific type of code, and you have to be able to recognize that method call. And it's what runs a method. We call it, when we run our program, we're actually executing the program. We talk about executing the code. A loop is executed if the Boolean expression is true. In other words, that code is run. So anyways, this is what happens with method call. So what we're going to do down here is we are going to we're going to go here, and we're going to change this line right here to a method call like it looks. So we're going to go Madeline, that's the name of the method, put 2 parentheses and the semicolon. All right, that is a method call. All right, this is what calls the Madeline method and gets her to do her function, which would be to close the classroom door. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to put a blank line here, blank line after the method call. I walk up the classroom, and then I call on Christina, so let's do another blank line. And we're going to change this line right here to Christina, with the lowercase, of course, and a semicolon. There's a method call. And then we're going to change this line here to the Halulu method call. All right, those are your method calls. So when you see a name and a set of parentheses and a semicolon, that is a method call. It's calling the method by its name. And so the compiler then looks in your code, or looks in the computer memory for a method named Halulu, or for Christina or Madeline. Let's do another blank line after Halulu. Okay, so there we are. Now, so this is how the code works then. Let's see. I might have to bring this down just a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Now, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go in order. We're going to number this in order in which this operates. And so, you know, the thing here, it'd be nice if you had a pen like this, a digital pen. So I don't know how this is going to work for you. So I guess you might just have to watch unless you're able to do this with some kind of a marker. And so the first place we're going to start, and actually what I think what I'll ask you, well, you're not going to be able to do that. So let's just go ahead and do this. So we're going to type, there's one is the main method starts. In this case, I start automatically. So then the first task I do is I display the needed files. 3, I listen to the lunch reflection with the students. 4, I take attendance. 5, I call on Madeline to close the classroom door. Now remember that first 3 chapters, our code just went straight down. You always go to the next line down, next line down. We called it a sequential. Then we started dealing with where we had the compiler make decisions, and then we had methods, and so loops. And so this code, we're not going to go down to line 17. We're going to go actually to the method. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go down to here. And so this is number 6. This is the 6th thing that happens. Now the other thing that you should do is you should type in here that this is a method header or declaration. So this is the declaration of the Madeline method. All right, the next thing that happens is Madeline does her tasks, which is just one, is to close the classroom door. The next thing that you see here is a closing brace. This closing brace tells the compiler the following. End of, actually I'm going to go another blank line here just to give it room. And it says end of method, return to method call. All right, so it's going to return to method call. And that's what you should get used to, is that at the end of a method, where do you go? You go to the method, what called that method. So on what line did I call Madeline? Well, so let's go over here, and we're going to go right back. So this is going to be number 8. Now, there's nothing for us to do on this line again, but in the future there's going to be some method calls where we're going to have to do something. And so we just want to get used to coming back. So now we don't do anything here, but we go to 9 here. And then 10 I call Christina. So this of course is a method call. And so now we're going to go up to her method header. And then her task. And then this is going to this what does this say here? This closing brace says end of method, return to method call. And so we go to the method call right here, and so this is going to be 13. And then 14 is calling on Halulu. And so we go to the Halulu method header. So that's 15. And she does her thing. And then we have the end of method, return to method call. And so, whoa, where am I going? And so we're going right over to here. And so this is 17. Nothing to do there. And we move on to 18. I explain what we're going to do in class. And then we're ready to start the lesson. So let me make sure I've got everything on there I should have. And so it looks like I do. So this is the introduction to methods. So you can see that you have method names, you have method headers, you have method calls, you have end of methods, return to method call. So you see all this stuff, and if you understand this right here, if you can understand what we're doing, this is like most of what you have to do for this chapter. And so we're going to stop right there.